What's up, fellow Crash Bandicoot fans? It's Austin CB here, and welcome back to another Crash Bandicoot Resource figure review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Dr. Neo Cortex Resource figure. This figure was actually released back in 1998 and was part of the first wave of Crash Bandicoot Resource figures. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. Alrighty, so here we have all of the various accessories that come bundled with the figure. So starting off with our Power Crystal accessory, we have a black crystal this time around. Pretty cool. Next up we have a Wamba Fruit. Next up we have a green breakaway crate. Pretty nice. And that does come with a decal sheet. As you can see, all of mine are still attached to the sheet, but this is the set that you would get. Next up we have a little ray gun for Cortex. As you can see, it's got a little bit of detail on the side. Pretty cool. And last but certainly not least, we have Cortex's hoverboard. And it's got a lot of really nice details, but my one main gripe with it is that it is the wrong color. So in the games, Cortex's hovercraft is actually red. Same thing can be said with the ray gun. But for some reason they went with a dark blue, which is a very odd choice of color. But other than that, really solid set of accessories. Just kind of confused on that miscoloration. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Cortex figure. Alrighty guys, so here we have the Cortex figure itself, and first impressions, this figure is incredible. It is very sinister, as you can see. I'll go ahead and pick it up here, bring it up a little closer to the camera. As you can see, this figure is pretty damn terrifying. And if you're really familiar with old Crash Bandicoot promotional art, you'll probably be able to guess what artwork or render this is actually based off of, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and throw the render up on screen now, just for comparison's sake. But as you can see, they did a pretty good job at capturing that sinister Cortex, and I just really can't say enough about this figure. I'll go ahead and give you guys a little 360 view of the figure. Of course, on the back you have some copyright information as well. But yeah, just overall really solid looking figure. So what about articulation, posability, all that fun stuff? So starting with the head, you don't actually get any posability with the head at all. It's just kind of stuck the way it is. However, my particular figure, it feels that there is a little bit of give in the neck. I don't think that's supposed to be a thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and note down that there is no articulation whatsoever in the head. When we get to his body, his arms do have little swivels, so you can move his arms back and forth. His wrists also have little swivels, although they are a bit tight, so you definitely want to be careful when moving them. No form of articulation in the elbows, so his elbows are kind of just stuck in place. His other hand does the same thing, swivels, moves back and forth, comes in and out. So that's really all you get with articulation. When it comes down to the legs, absolutely no articulation whatsoever, so he's kind of just stuck in a single pose. So really you're not getting very much posability out of this figure at all. It's mostly just stationary. You're just kind of stuck the way it is, but still very cool nonetheless. I mean, you've got the pose, you've got the looks, everything's there, just minus the posability. So as you can see here with my Cortex figure's legs, you'll notice that they're slightly warped, and this is probably the biggest flaw with this figure in particular. The legs are just incredibly weak. I've bought this figure for collector purposes. I've had it on display for a while, and unfortunately over time the figure just kind of begins to weigh in on itself, and the legs will eventually start to bend and eventually snap, so that is really unfortunate. I should probably look into replacing this figure at some point. But other than that, the figure's really solid. I'd say another minor flaw is you can definitely see where they have seamed parts of the figure together. They actually use a little bit of quality control paint to try to cover those lines, but unfortunately this particular figure, it is slightly aged. So as you can see, the lines are starting to show. But overall, this is a very solid figure. just, you don't get a lot of the posability with it, but it does look damn good. Alrighty, so here's what Cortex looks like all decked out in his gear. Give you guys just a quick little wrap around of the figure. Yeah, honestly, this figure looks incredible on display. My only real little nitpick here is the obvious miscolor of the hoverboard, but it doesn't really take away from how grand and epic this figure looks. So I thought I'd go ahead and throw this in as a little bonus, if you will. I have one sealed as well. So this is what the figure looks like, brand new, in its box. Got all of the accessories and everything. Unfortunately, my sealed copy isn't in the best condition. Whoever owned it previously thought it'd be a good idea to make these ugly slits in the bubble, so now I have these cuts. I should probably look into getting this replaced at some point. But if we go ahead and flip it around to the back, I'll go ahead and show you guys what the back side looks like. So here is what the back looks like. And as you can see over here, we have pictures and information on the other figures from Wave 1. And yeah, that's what the figure would look like in its box. Pretty awesome. Alrighty, so moving on to my final thoughts. What do I think of this figure? I think this is an absolutely solid figure, easily one of the best in the line. I would highly recommend picking this up if you come across them for a good deal. Yeah, I don't have much to say. It's just a solid figure. I mean, it's Dr. Neo Cortex. He's iconic. What else could you ask for? I mean, it's not a perfect figure. It definitely has some flaws. As you'll see, there's some miscolors and stuff like that, a little bit of quality errors, but really not enough to set it back a lot. I still think it's absolutely incredible, looks great on display. You just have those minor flaws that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. This has been my review of the Dr. Neo Cortex Resaurus figure. If you enjoyed the review, feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts on the figure down below, and feel free to subscribe for more future content. I do have a few more figures that I would like to review at some point, so look forward to that. Hopefully I can get those pumped out onto the channel here soon. But yeah, I have been It's Austin CB. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.